Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald with Veterans for America First. I'm here with Greg Aselbekian, one of our ambassadors, Jared Craig, former candidate and Georgia lawyer, and Surrea Ivy, a former candidate. Greg, can you go ahead and take over this interview? We're going to discuss swatting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've heard in the news lately out of Georgia that ever since the illegal Mar-a-Lago raid of President Trump, we have heard this happen to Marjorie Taylor Greene more than once, and we recently found out that it also happened to you recently, and we were hoping you could discuss what happened to you and go in a little more detail about that.
So on Saturday, just this weekend, two gentlemen in police attire showed up at my home. They knocked on the door and they identified themselves as Gwinnett Police Department officers. And they said they had reason to believe that I was in possession of government equipment. I have a pretty good relationship with the police department in my area. So I laughed real wholeheartedly because I'm like, there's no way I'm in possession of that. And I'm thinking it's a joke. I'm thinking somebody who, with everything, like you said, that's going on in the media, somebody's pranking because everybody knows I ran for office. Everybody knows I'm a conservative. So naturally, this is the topic of discussion with the January 6th hearings and all the things that are going throughout Georgia. Somebody's playing a joke on the Republican. So I invited them into the home. My first mistake, but I did it. Jokingly and teasingly asked them if it had anything to do with my political affiliations and some of the things that I was working on. Because I had one particular project that I was doing that particular day. They asked about the project. We talked about police affairs. We talked about a lot of just the political climate that's going on right now. It got to a point where it looks like they were trying to stick around. So I kind of snuck away into my bathroom and I texted some people that were waiting on me for my event on Saturday. And I told them, I said, hey, the police are here. I'm going to get out of it. I'll be there soon. I'm still thinking there's nothing going on. When I come back out from my back room in my bathroom, they attitude were a little different. The taller officer said to me, he was like, well, we just want to look around. That's what he said. We want to look around. And I was like, look, you guys, I've got something to do. As I said to you guys, as you can see with your eyes, there's nothing going on here. I don't have any equipment laying around. It's time to go. And so they were like, no, we're going to look around. And I said, listen, I don't consent to a search and seizure. Anything that you do has to be open in the open. And just as I gave you permission to be here, I can rescind that, consider it rescinded. I'm ready to go. And the officer got a little belligerent. And I'll say gentleman in officer attire, just so that I can be accurate. He says, we're not going to turn this into a YouTube situation. Cuff her. And so he speaks to the other gentleman that's in officer attire and they cuff me. They go through my boxes. They go through my laundry. They go through my rooms. They go through my drawers. I'm not very kind at this moment. I'm yelling, I'm going to have your badges. You don't have a right to do this. You don't have a search warrant. This is why people don't believe in the police today. What are you doing? I mean, like I'm at 100. Okay. And so they take a webcam of mine and a file complaint form, which is about 3 pages long. They take that and I'm sorry, I'm still angry. I'm still because people don't understand that's my home. Do you know what I'm saying? If at any place in my life I should feel safe, it's my home. I should be able to control what goes in and out of my home. I wasn't doing anything wrong and they had no reason to be there. I was cooperative. When it was time to go, it was time to go. And to be cuffed in my own home. Anyway, it ended this way. He takes the cam and he takes the files and he takes the cuffs off. He said, I'm not going to take you to jail this time, but let this be a lesson to you. YouTube is not always right. I'm following them out the door. I'm still fussing. I'm still fussing that I want my stuff back. And they get into a black SUV and leave. So I'm thinking to myself, this was to thwart what I was doing. So I'll deal with this when I get back, because I was already late for my next event. And I said, this is just to thwart what I was doing. Let me go take care of my event and I get back. When I get to my event, there's a lot of little crazy stuff that's going on that just kind of led me to be suspicious. And so I went out with some of the people that were at the event, and I was saying to them, you know, there's just way too much crazy going on. I'm a little suspicious, suspicious of everything. I'm wondering if these were even police officers. So I get on the phone with the Gwinnett Police Department and I call dispatch and I say to them, did you dispatch officers to my home today? And they were saying, no, we did not. Which alarmed me because they were dressed in police attire. They were dressed in police attire. And I said, 2 officers came, and I described them and told them what they said their name was. She's like, no, ma'am, that didn't happen. So she said she would get an officer to call me back. It took an hour. Nobody called me back. I called them back and I'm like, look, I want to know who was in my house and I want my stuff back. I think they took me serious the second time because I wasn't cordial about it and I wasn't crying at that point. I was pissed at that point. And so I asked them to get me in touch with an officer. So when I spoke to the officer on the phone, he's like, that doesn't sound like us. They would have given you an inventory sheet. Furthermore, they would have got a warrant. We're going to have to just look into it. Call the chief in the morning. So I did. But on my way home from the event, after talking to the officer, I noticed that my neighbor had a webcam. So we did get the footage from the webcam. At this point, we're not at liberty to disclose all of that. And there is a full investigation being done by the Gwinnett Police Department, headed by Jared, which I appreciate him. Jason, excuse me. I appreciate him greatly. Jason Rosaria and Gwinnett County, because he took it serious. He understood my frustration and my fear. Because what people have to understand is whether you agree with me politically or not is irrelevant. I have a 6-year-old. I'm a human. We have gotten to such a place, and I'm really trying to control my emotions, but we have gotten to such a place in America where the very things that you're angry about, you perpetrate on other people and you think you're justified in doing it.
Yeah.
You put me imprisoned in my own home. I don't feel safe in my own home. I am stepping up security in my own home. I don't know who the people are that came to my house. If it had been a police officer, at least they were vetted and we can identify and we can come to a resolution. But if it's not a police officer, who was it? Why were they sent? What guarantee do I have they won't come back? And now that they know the layout of my home and they know what's going on, how safe am I there? And that's not an America that I know of. That's Nazi Germany. That's North Korea. That's not America.
Yeah, that's some third world country stuff that you read about in the history books. Now, you said that they did walk out with some things of yours. Do you know exactly what they took?
Yeah, they took a webcam and a file complaint form that I was filing with the district court.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you're now you said you got them on footage. Was there, I don't know if you would be able to discuss this, but I mean, were you able to make out like faces, a license plate number, things like that? Or is it kind of just like a blur off out in the distance?
It's not blurred, but it is not completely what we need to make a full identification. What it can do is verify that the individuals who came to my home were in fact dressed in police attire. It does give credence that they were there. We also have a recorded which most of the people know I made public, that my neighbors saw them. So it's not like it's a figment of imagination. Because see, right now what we got going on in America is a whole lot of conspiracy theories where people don't believe, and people who do believe, they run. You need facts. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be attentive to being factual. I have a lot of theories about what's going on, but the biggest issue that I have right now, personally, is that who's safe? Usually you're telling your kids that if somebody's bothering outside, run home. And now the bullies are bothering you at home. Home's not safe. You think if I could just get in the house, I'm away from danger. I'm not. Danger walks right into your house. And that's the biggest issue, is where's the safety? The whole formation of America was generated to create safety for people who had different ideals and opinions. And now people with different ideals and opinions are persecuted, prosecuted, and harassed. I don't know how we got this far, to where we just lost humanity, just all decency for humanity. It's beyond me at this point.
It's a shame the direction our country has gone in. Jared, we have about 7 minutes left. Can you get into the background of swatting, which we initially thought happened to Surrea, and then address some of the issues that she's discussed?
Yes, thanks, Dan. I've looked into swatting, and swatting is defined as calling an emergency services or police to an innocent location for the purpose of harassment. And it started about 2015 as somewhat of a prank and hoax cycle. But it happens about 400 times a year in this country. And it's starting to bleed into other countries where it's being used as a weapon to harass by groups that are contrary for political purposes. Now, looking into the swatting, it is defined as making a report that's malicious and false to the actual authorities. Well, after hearing some of Miss Ivy's statements, we're not sure if that was the true Gwinnett Police Department or not. If that's the case, then this is a whole nother, more serious set of crimes. But swatting is a federal offense at this stage. If it's a no injury type of offense or instance, it's a 5-year sentence in federal prison. If someone has serious bodily injury due to the swatting attempt, it's up to 20 years per injury. So we have a range of people who are being swatted, and the perpetrators range from people that are angry about video games or, just civilian to civilian. But we're seeing it more and more from activists to public figures. Mm-hmm. And that is where the erosion of our culture and society is going to allow these people to impact with very little investment or, consequence. So my thought was first figuring out which crimes have occurred. I'm not a prosecutor, but I deal with statutory law all the time. And we both have a duality of federal offenses and state offenses. I believe that swatting could be, if a death occurs, treated as first-degree murder, because you can prove malice, you can prove the intent to cause harm. If you're some of the swatting events included hostage scenarios that were fake, that referenced, hey, there's a live gunman who shot his one family member and has the rest of them hostage. If you don't think that's malicious intent sufficient to raise to first-degree murder, I don't know what is. And I'm a defense attorney. I sound like a prosecutor right now, but prosecuting the law requires the DA. The district attorney's offices might not know how to handle these cases. I think that they're a little reluctant. So in getting into the swatting cases, or we call it tort and civil, but criminal actions in the event of Miss Ivy's case, figuring out who these people are, we don't have to rely just on the police to make an arrest. We can take a warrant application to the local magistrate, federal or state level, as a private citizen. And once we can identify the perpetrator, you have additional tools that don't rely on the local police. In the event you have a reluctant police force, and if you have a reluctant DA's office, you can file certain actions against the DA's office also. But this is absurd. Surrea's house has been invaded. I didn't hear all the facts of what had happened until just now. And I hate that for you. That is offensive. I watch police videos all the time, and I walk through in my mind as you were telling the story. I'll tell you that their protocol did not follow police protocol. They did not read you your rights. They interrogated you, even though you granted access to your house. They could have been asked to leave, and when you did, they arrested you. Arrest isn't when they read you your rights. Arrest is when you don't feel as though it's reasonable for you to flee their control. When they have control of your liberty, you're under arrest.
And
And
just
that
to,
happened.
sorry to interrupt, just to clarify, myself being a former police detective, once you place the handcuffs on somebody, they're under arrest. And they didn't have any cause to arrest you. Do I have that right, counsel?
That's correct. If they didn't have probable cause for a warrant to search, they certainly didn't have probable cause to make an arrest, especially if the whole point of what they were there for is to gather information to support an arrest warrant. It's the cart in front of the horse, which is a true violation of your Fourth Amendment rights.
So we only have about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, and I know Greg had a lot of questions, but I apologize to our viewers. I didn't realize this had a time limit. I wasn't planning on handling this. So Surrea, I see you're rather emotional, and understandably so.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to add to this?
Yeah. We need to grow up in America because we have taken disagreement too far. We have taken it too far. Nobody feels safe in their country. And if at any time in our lives that we need to put aside our petty squabbles and remember the humanity, we need to do that. There's no reason for anybody, let alone myself, to feel like I do right now. And shame on the woke community for creating this environment. Shame on the officials who know better and condone this behavior and conceal it. And I just encourage all of the good people out there that still have humanity left in them, do not let it go unanswered and don't accept it as the new norm, because this isn't normal and this is not what it's supposed to be. And besides what side of the aisle you're in, it doesn't matter. At this point, we need to save our nation because it's going down fast.
Thank you, Surrea. And you're amongst family here with the four of us together. We're all affiliated with Veterans for America First. And Greg, in 30 seconds, do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, I'm if I'm being honest, I'm not shocked that it's gone this far. We've seen, especially over the last, I almost feel it's gotten worse, over the last year and a half than it has from 2017 to 2021.